assuming you're not electively home educating, which you're not if they are on roll at a school, it is the local authority's responsibility to either, this is going to sound really blunt and I don't mean it to, I will explain in a minute, either prosecute you for non-school attendance or provide suitable alternative education. Doing nothing is totally illegal. Right? If they're not prosecuting you and they have decided you are not, allowing your child to truant, then they are admitting that they have a responsibility to provide suitable alternative education. And often in practice, what they often do is ask the school to use, because the school is getting considerable money for your child. They're getting or pew funding, which is just the funding they get for every child on school roll. And then they've got another £6,000 special needs funding in their budget, and they can apply for top-up funding whilst the needs assessment is going, if necessary. The local authority would be expecting the school to use that funding to provide suitable alternative provision. And that differs from child to child. It might be one-to-one tuition in the home. It might be small group access to provision outside of the home, like forest schools.
Sometimes it's therapeutic intervention, isn't it? You see some children who have got very, very profound trauma-based difficulties with attending school and school-based anxiety, and some of those children are only able to access something like an equine therapy or an animal therapy provision. Some children are placed within private tutorial businesses, companies that specialize in that, and so you'll have children who've got a very bespoke curriculum. They will have their individual tutor, and they'll have their set times when they go there. But the curriculum is very much child-led.
And the way to get the way I would go about getting that in from where you're at now is firstly book an appointment with the head teacher and go and talk to the head teacher and say to the head teacher, I understand my child is entitled to an education and you should be providing it using their funding. Follow that up in writing by email and say, thank you for meeting with me. Just to reiterate what I said, please can you let me know when alternative provision will be provided for my child. If you don't get anywhere, either you get a refusal or you just get nothing, one day and it never comes. They keep kicking the can down the road. Write a formal letter of complaint to your local authority using the local authority's formal complaints process that you'll find online if you Google the name of your LA and complaints. Lodge the complaint that the local authority is failing to provide suitable alternative education for your child. Put the key dates in, the last date your child attended school. You can get a copy of their attendance certificate. The local authority will then push the school to put alternative provision in place. This is something that you could look at judicial review for if the local authority, if it still doesn't happen, if the local authority refuse. And considering you are expecting an 18-month to school placement, this would carry on right throughout that time. So it is worth doing it. If you are on means tested benefits, you're likely to be entitled to legal aid, and legal aid will help you. A solicitor from legal aid would help you to fight to get education in for your child. It's one of the things that's covered by legal aid. If not, then it would be down to you to fight for it or to pay a solicitor to help with a judicial review pre-action.
Because your child is entitled to a full-time education, and if that's not being provided, then the school have got to show that they're doing everything possible to meet your child's needs in that time in between when you get your result. And you can't it's not fair for you to just be a target for education welfare officers coming along and knocking on your door when this is something that you're actively trying to put some, find a decent education, find a placement that is going to meet need.
If you're concerned, if anyone's concerned about fines for non-school attendance for a child that is not able to attend school, make friends with your GP. Go and see your GP lots all the time. They'll say, oh, we can't help, it's none of our business. But every time you go and the GP, you can book an appointment in the child's name. You don't have to take the child. You can turn up yourself for that. You want it logged that your child's illness, their mental health, their anxiety is stopping them attending school. Eventually, the GP can't ignore it. You're building yourself an evidence base of how many times you've approached professionals asking for help. Nobody can turn around to you and say, you're just choosing not to send your child to school. We are prosecuting you. You can get a list, a printout if necessary from the GP. And eventually, the GP will write you a note because they want to get rid of you and stop you taking up their appointments. And then you've got your evidence. Yeah.
I don't know about you, Anna, but I've seen, surprised me, to be honest. I've seen children with signed off sick notes as you would give an employee.
Yeah.
This child has been officially signed off from work, and it's exactly the same form. And I've seen that those have come in with children being signed off sick for 3 to 4 months.
Yeah. Consultants can do it as well. That's what happened to my daughter when she was 8. She was signed off by her CAMHS consultant as, I think it said, you know, unfit to attend school until a suitable school placement is found, which went on for 2.5 years. But yes, that's what you need, not only to cover yourself, but also to force. The other thing, we've taken ages over this one, but I think it's worth saying, the other thing that's worth thinking about is if you put in a formal complaint, push it through the local authority's complaints procedure right till the end. So you've got to put it through all 2 or 3 stages, and the local authority will try and lose it. So you've got to be on them. Local authorities, it's worth noting that local authorities often have a clause in their complaints process that says if they haven't heard from you for X amount of time, often 3 weeks, then they will assume that you are satisfied and the complaint is closed. So you put in the complaint, you get an acknowledgement, so you know they've got it, and then you sit and wait 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 because you know they've got it. So you just think, oh, they're busy, they'll get round to it eventually. They wait until after the 3 weeks and then they just quietly close it without telling you. So if you put in a formal complaint, follow up every week with an email saying, is there any news on my complaint yet? Because that stops them from closing it. But once you push a complaint to the end of the complaints process, if your child has been without education for 6 months, 9 months, a year, you can go to the local government ombudsman at that point, and the local government ombudsman can and will issue compensation. You won't be a millionaire. It's not huge because it's public purse money, but you know, it'll be a good few hundred, maybe around £1,000 mark compensation for the detriment that's been caused to them by not getting education.
And it gets logged too, doesn't it? LGO
it does
get logged as being an official black mark essentially against your local authority. And you know, if you want to find out that sort of information, really good website to go on is www.whatdotheyknow.com, and then you can put freedom of information search in, and you can find out how many times your local authority has been wrapped over the knuckles.
Yep. And you can also search the local government ombudsman's database because they do name and shame every local authority that's fined. They don't name the child's name. It's totally anonymous to the child and the parents, but the local authority is name and shamed. Yes.